What if I told you that the way you behave in public reveals your entire level of spiritual development? That Zen masters can assess your inner cultivation simply by watching how you move through the world. The Buddha taught that enlightenment isn't found on a mountain top, it's demonstrated in the marketplace. Your public behavior is your spiritual report card, and most people are failing without even knowing it. Today, I'm sharing 9 things that Zen teachings say you should never do in public. These aren't just etiquette rules, they're spiritual practices that separate the conscious from the unconscious, the mature from the immature. I'm going to reveal ancient Zen wisdom about public conduct that transforms ordinary spaces into practice grounds. This isn't about impressing others, it's about how your external behavior reflects your internal state. Zen Master Dogen taught, to study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by all things. Your behavior in public shows whether you've forgotten the self or whether you're trapped in ego consciousness. So if you're ready to elevate your presence, dignify your conduct, and learn what your public behavior reveals about your spiritual maturity, let's begin. 1. Never broadcast your private conversations. Rule 1. Never have loud phone conversations or arguments in public spaces. Zen teaches about appropriate container, matching your energy to your environment. Loud personal conversations violate this sacred principle. Behavioral analysis: when you broadcast intimate conversations in restaurants, on buses, or in waiting rooms, you're demonstrating something profound. You've lost awareness of the space you occupy. The Buddha emphasized right speech as part of the Noble Eightfold Path. This doesn't just mean truthful speech, it means speech appropriate to context. Public space is shared space. When you fill it with your private drama, you're colonizing communal territory with your ego. You're saying, my conversation is more important than everyone else's peace. This behavior exposes spiritual immaturity, the inability to modulate yourself based on environment. Mature consciousness adjusts volume, content, and intensity according to setting. Zen monks practice mindful volume, speaking only as loudly as necessary for your intended audience to hear. This is respect made audible. 2. Never treat service workers as invisible. Rule 2. Never ignore or disrespect people serving you. The Zen principle of Buddha nature in all beings means every person deserves the same level of presence and respect, regardless of their role. How you treat people who can't benefit you reveals your true character. Zen masters say, the sage treats the beggar and the king with equal dignity. Not making eye contact with servers, not saying, please, or, thank you, talking on your phone while being served, treating service workers as automated machines rather than human beings. The Buddha taught that hierarchy is an illusion. The person serving your coffee is your spiritual equal. When you treat them as less than, you reveal that you still see the world through ego's ranking system. This behavior exposes what Buddhism calls spiritual pride, thinking you're superior based on temporary circumstances like wealth or status. Make eye contact. Use their name if you know it. Express genuine gratitude. This isn't politeness, it's recognition of shared humanity. 3. Never violate communal space with your mess. Rule 3. Never leave your mess for others to clean up. Zen temples teach Samu, cleaning as spiritual practice. Your treatment of shared spaces reveals your level of consciousness about interconnection. Leaving trash on tables, not cleaning gym equipment after use, not returning shopping carts, leaving public restrooms in disarray. Master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, washing dishes is meditation. Cleaning the floor is meditation. When you leave messes, you're saying, someone else's time is less valuable than mine. This violates the principle of right action, behavior that doesn't create suffering for others. Every mess you leave creates work and suffering for someone else. Zen asks, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you're careless with shared spaces, you're likely careless with shared relationships, shared resources, shared responsibilities. Leave every space better than you found it. This is karma in action, creating positive ripples through your simple daily actions. 4. Never impose your sensory preferences on others. Rule 4. Never force your music, videos, or strong fragrances on unwilling audiences. The Tao Te Ching teaches, the sage does not accumulate. The more he does for others, the more he has. Imposing sensory experiences is spiritual accumulation, demanding space in others' consciousness. Playing music or videos without headphones, wearing overwhelming cologne or perfume, having loud conversations in quiet spaces, eating pungent foods in enclosed areas. Your sensory preferences aren't universal laws. What you find pleasant, others might find torturous. Unconscious people assume their experience is everyone's experience. Buddha taught about non-harm, the first precept. Sensory imposition is a form of harm, even if unintentional. You're invading someone's mental space without consent. This behavior shows what Zen calls center of the universe syndrome, the unconscious belief that your needs and preferences should dominate shared space. Contain your sensory experience to your personal sphere. Use headphones. Moderate fragrances. Respect the fact that public space belongs to everyone, not just you. 5. Never display lack of spatial awareness. Rule 5. Never block pathways, doorways, or escalators while absorbed in your own world. Zen teaches environmental consciousness, awareness of your body in relationship to space and others. Blocking flow reveals spatial unconsciousness. Stopping suddenly in crowded areas, standing in doorways, blocking escalators, walking slowly in groups across entire sidewalks, parking inappropriately. Zen emphasizes being like water, flowing around obstacles, allowing flow. When you block pathways, you're a stone in the stream, forcing everyone to flow around your obstruction. The middle way teaches balance, finding the path that allows you to exist while not impeding others. Blocking public flow violates this principle. This reveals what Zen calls small self-consciousness, being so absorbed in your individual experience that you lose awareness of the collective experience. Develop peripheral awareness. Before stopping, look around. Ask yourself, am I facilitating or obstructing the natural flow of this space? 6. Never make your personal crisis everyone's emergency. Rule 6. Never create public scenes or emotional displays that hijack communal energy. The Buddha taught about appropriate expression, matching emotional displays to context and relationship. Public meltdowns violate this principle. Examples: screaming at employees over minor issues, having loud emotional phone conversations, crying dramatically in public over non-emergencies, throwing adult tantrums. Zen master Suzuki Roshi taught, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. Emotional mastery isn't suppression, it's appropriate expression. This doesn't mean denying emotions. Buddhism teaches feeling fully while maintaining awareness. Public emotional explosions show loss of awareness, being consumed by feeling rather than containing it. This behavior exposes poor emotional regulation and what Buddhism calls attachment to suffering, unconsciously seeking attention through drama. Feel your emotions fully, but express them appropriately. Private emotions deserve private spaces. Public spaces require composed presence. 7. Never perform intimate personal care in public view. Rule 7. Never engage in grooming, hygiene, or intimate activities in inappropriate public settings. Zen teaches about sacred privacy. Certain acts belong in designated spaces. Violating these boundaries shows confusion about public versus private domains. Clipping nails in public, elaborate makeup application at restaurant tables, flossing teeth in public, excessive physical affection that makes others uncomfortable, detailed grooming in shared spaces. Everything has its proper container. Water belongs in a cup, not spilled on the table. Similarly, certain activities belong in bathrooms or private spaces, not public view. This relates to right conduct, behavior that maintains dignity and doesn't create discomfort for others. Making others witness your intimate maintenance violates this principle. This behavior reveals boundary confusion, not understanding the difference between private and public identity. It shows what Zen calls undifferentiated consciousness. Ask yourself, would I do this if I were dining with someone I deeply respect? If no, don't do it in public. Public space deserves the same respect. 8. Never steal attention through performative behavior. Rule 8. Never engage in attention-seeking behavior that forces others to witness your performance. The Tao teaches, the sage seeks to be free from desire. Performative public behavior reveals addiction to external validation. Making public spaces your photo shoot location while obstructing others, filming yourself loudly for social media, elaborate public proposals that trap everyone into witnessing, performing scenes for content creation. Master Linji said, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. This means, let go of all external validation, including performing spirituality or success for others. Buddha taught about right intention, acting from authentic motivation rather than ego. Performative behavior is always ego-driven, seeking external confirmation of internal worth. This exposes what Buddhism calls merit-seeking, doing things to be seen doing them rather than for the inherent value. It reveals dependence on others' attention for sense of self. Do what you came to do, not what will make others look at you. Authentic presence doesn't need an audience. 9. Never speak loudly about your virtue or success. Rule 9. Never loudly advertise your accomplishments, wealth, or moral superiority in public spaces. Zen teaches, those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Real virtue is quiet, performed virtue is loud. Name-dropping in public conversations, discussing your salary or purchases, bragging about charitable acts, advertising your spiritual practices, humble bragging loud enough for others to hear. The strongest tree in the forest doesn't announce its strength, it simply stands. Real power, real virtue, real wealth are secure enough to remain silent. Buddha warned against spiritual materialism, using spiritual practices as ego currency. Talking loudly about your virtue defeats the virtue itself. If you need strangers to know you're successful, spiritual, or generous, you're not secure in any of those things. You're seeking external validation of internal doubt. Let your actions speak silently. True virtue radiates without announcement. Conscious presence doesn't require advertisement. The deeper Zen teaching. Here's what these 9 rules really teach about spiritual development. Public behavior is spiritual practice in disguise. Every public moment is an opportunity to demonstrate presence, consideration, and awareness. The monastery and the marketplace are not separate. How you move through a grocery store reveals as much about your enlightenment as how you sit in meditation. These aren't arbitrary rules, they're expressions of fundamental principles: right speech, right action, right mindfulness, right concentration. When you follow these guidelines, you're not just being polite, you're practicing. Environmental awareness, spatial consciousness. Compassion, considering others' experience. Non-attachment, not needing external validation. Equanimity, emotional regulation. Humility, no hierarchy in dignity. As you integrate these practices, something shifts. You stop seeing public spaces as stages for your performance and start seeing them as collective spaces requiring your consciousness. The practice. So how do you practice these teachings? First, practice what Zen calls public mindfulness, bringing the same awareness you have in meditation into your daily movements through the world. Second, use the 360-degree awareness technique. Before acting, quickly scan the environment. Who's around? How will your action impact them? Third, implement the invisible observer practice. Act as if someone you deeply respect is always watching. This isn't paranoia, it's accountability. Fourth, practice equal dignity. Treat every person and every space with the same respect you'd give to sacred spaces and important people. Fifth, develop what Buddhism calls considerate presence, occupying space in a way that adds to rather than detracts from collective experience. Sixth, remember, public space is shared spiritual practice ground. You're not just moving through it, you're contributing to its energy. The goal isn't perfection. It's consciousness. It's asking, how can I move through this shared space in a way that honors both my needs and everyone else's? If these Zen teachings have shifted how you see public behavior, share this video with someone who needs this wisdom. Sometimes we need a mirror to see what we're unconsciously doing. And tell me in the comments, which of these 9 things do you see most often in public? And be honest, have you caught yourself doing any of them? Awareness is the first step to transformation. Subscribe for more Zen teachings that turn everyday life into spiritual practice. Remember, the sage and the fool look the same sitting in meditation. They look completely different in a grocery store, on a bus, or in a restaurant. Your spiritual development isn't measured by how peaceful you are alone on a mountain, it's measured by how conscious you remain in a crowded airport. As Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, the present moment is the only moment available to us, and it is the door to all moments. Every public moment is that door. Walk through it consciously.